If you're anything like me, you don't know what all the perks do. Maybe you did at some point, or maybe you never have, but who could blame you either way? There's so many perks in this game nowadays, it's a daunting task to even attempt. My solution? Take it 2 perks at a time. Join me as we take a look at the survivor perks available in this week's Shrine of Secrets to learn the new stuff, remember the old, and ultimately determine whether or not they are worth purchasing. Welcome all to the Shrine Showcase. This week's featured perks are Streetwise and Counterforce. If you're just looking for my quick thoughts, Counterforce is bad and Streetwise is good. But if you think there's nothing more to talk about, you'd be right about only one of these perks. We're also going to quickly cover the killer perks in this week's Shrine at the end of the video, so if that's your thing, be sure to stick around for that. Streetwise is the second of Nia Karlsson's 3 teachable perks and was added August 18th, 2016 as part of the Last Breath DLC. Being the first official DLC added, you could expect this perk to be primitive compared to what's being added nowadays, and to some degree that's true. It is best described as an item perk, showing all its benefits by enhancing tools you bring to aid you. More specifically, it increases the duration you can use your item by 25%, while also giving that bonus to nearby teammates. Just because it came early doesn't mean it's bad, in fact, quite the opposite. Add to that, its numbers were buffed a bit back in 2018 to make its effects even greater. It's just a solid perk with no real downside. Other than it's not amazing. There's absolutely some fun to be had with this perk as well, as its effects stack with itself, allowing you and a couple friends to absolutely fly through generators like seasoned technicians. This perk is 100% worth getting, as you can throw it onto any build and know it's doing something for you every game. But you should already have it. Not to the same degree you should have Meg's perks like I mentioned a few weeks back, but Nia is one of the first survivors new players gravitate to because of urban evasion. If you don't already have Nia's perks and you have more than 50 hours, I'd be really surprised. Counterforce is the second of Jill Valentine's 3 teachable perks. It was added June 15th, 2021 as part of the Resident Evil Chapter DLC, and is best described as a totem perk. Perhaps the most relevant thing to happen to this perk recently was Oddstarva mentioning something in his video about the most recent PTB. He said, finally the 2 survivors being added in the same DLC will just be one single character. This removes the need to design 3 additional teachable perks for the second survivor, hopefully giving us quality over quantity. He also mentioned that he wishes previous DLCs had done this originally, and although he didn't say it specifically, Counterforce is a leading example of that. But how does it actually work? You cleanse totems 20% faster, with each one adding an additional 20% stackable bonus. You also see the aura of the furthest totem from you for 4 seconds. This feels like something that was just thrown together to fill a perk slot, and not something even close to being fully realized. If you're using this perk, you're using it to cleanse totems faster. The aura reading is a nice bonus, giving you the location of another totem, but making it the furthest one wastes a lot of time. Add on to that, if the totem is dull when you eventually find it, you're just wasting additional time. Even if you were to only cleanse hexes, you wouldn't be seeing any noticeable increase to your cleansing speed, except for on very rare occasions. It also came out at a particularly weird time. Immediately following the release of this perk was the introduction of boon perks. Suddenly, there was a lot of attention on totems, and cleansing them was frowned upon. To drive that nail further was the introduction of Hex Pentimento not even 3 months later. That made it so cleansing any totem was a risk, which could swiftly snowball out of control if left unchecked. However, once the hype around Pentimento died down, everyone quickly realized you could also counter it by just not cleansing dull totems. So that's what they did. Which brings us to the current day. Totems haven't been touched since, and that's probably for the best. But where does that leave Counterforce today? Well, it's just a little bonus to cleansing totems, and you only have 4 perk slots. It's such a small part of this massive game that until changes are made, it will continue to see no use because of how deeply rooted it is in a mechanic that's just optional from the killer's perspective. And for that, I can't recommend you spend your shards on it this week. However, if I was to do a rework to make this perk better, here's how it would go. Just revealing a totem closer to you than the literal furthest one away would be a good start. Seeing as this perk hasn't been changed since its release, tweaking the numbers a bit could also be very beneficial. But if you really wanted it to get used, you gotta make it more fun to use. My way to do that would be to remove the aura reading and lean fully into the bonus cleansing speed. Detective's Hunt has been out since 2018, and Small Game was reworked in 2021, meaning we have multiple better ways to find totems if you're too stubborn to bring a map. Instead, have it be an instant action. You run over and kick it. Make up some story about having a better understanding of totems or whatever you need to do, but that's a goldmine, I'm telling you. Kicking totems would take this perk from never being seen to a staple in every meme build I use for the rest of time. If I want to rip cords and kick bones, I should be able to. And it's kind of absurd to me that I can do the first one and not the second one. Right, let's talk about these killer perks. I just want to start out by saying I am a Survivor main. I have played this game since 2017, and most of my 3,800 hours are on Survivor because it's more fun for me. I have played a lot of Killer, but can't say I'm particularly good at anyone aside from Hillbilly. When he got nuked, I stopped playing Killer altogether, but now that he's back, I've been enjoying it more. So hopefully he stays this time, but all of this is just to say you should take my opinions as just that and make decisions for yourselves. I do not have any great insight to these. But anyway, let's get into it. Starstruck needs good perks around it, or it's just preying on Survivor's mistakes. You can also just throw on Agitation, Iron Grasp, and Mad Grit to ensure their mistakes don't go unpunished. It's pretty good, always reliable for a good scare, but from the Survivor's perspective, easy to play around in most situations. Machine Learning seems pretty neat. This is a perk I've never seen before, and it sounds kind of fun. Anything that's added to give undetectable to killers is always fun because of Silent Saw Hillbilly. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, Hillbilly has add-ons that removes his chainsaw sound when you're outside of his terror radius, meaning anytime you become undetectable, you can fly around the map and nobody can hear you coming. I'm definitely going to be giving this a try and could totally see it being a staple of my Silent Saw build as long as it's good enough. But anyways, guys, that's all from me. Thank you for the support on the recent videos. I've got some video ideas I'm excited to try, so look out for those in the weeks to come. But until next time, take care out there in the fog.